I've worked with Davy Hansen since I started 7 years ago at Chantilly. And what am I going to miss the most about her? Probably her sincere, calm, and peaceful presence that she has with her students and in her classroom. She's just really created a very accepting atmosphere that I admire. And she's always caring about her students, asking about everybody's families. And if you've ever walked down the academy hallway during class time, you've likely smelled toasting because she's always brought in fresh bread and other baked goods and treats for her students, which I know that they've really, really appreciated and they look forward to when they come into her class. Some of my favorite memories with Davy have been really every summer that I've been at Chantilly. We've done a cybersecurity camp together, and she's really made it fun, and we've really gotten to know one another over the years, and I've appreciated working with her. And I know the students have always looked forward to being in the camp, and she's always had her current students come back and teach the class, which they respect her as an instructor and have always looked up to her in the way that her students look up to her. So really going to miss working with her during the school year, and especially during the summer. I just want her to know that I've really enjoyed working with her. Job well done on a career. You know, she's had a nice long career and has really been a big part of the STEM Academy and kind of creating the cyber program for what it is. I know her students are going to miss her, and we're certainly all going to miss her, especially me. Best wishes, Davy. Thank you for always sharing your talents. I look forward to seeing your band perform, because I know you're still going to be doing that, and we really look forward to seeing you in the near future.
Probably the biggest thing I'm going to miss about Miss Anson is just her like cool, calm demeanor. She almost like relaxing. She's a great sounding board. And so, you know, whenever like I really needed someone to talk to, or just was feeling like anxious about things or upset about something, she was always a really great person to talk to, because she's just so, like I said, just kind of calm and collected, and just a really nice, good person. My fondest memory is of a sweater this student used to wear. And one day I happened to tell him that I really liked that sweater. And then he wore it like every single class for the next like month or so. So that's probably my fondest memory. I think the thing that I always admired the most about her is that she, you know, all the students liked her. Like every single one. I can't think of any of her students that did not like her or had a problem with her. And I always thought that that was really, really admirable, because she just had a really unique way of connecting with students. And it probably goes back to my answer to your first question, just the calm, cool demeanor. I mean, she really, you know, she had no judgment. She was really accepting. And so I just thought that was really great. Well, it was quick. You know, my last year was my first year in the academy, so we really only worked together for 2 years, and then I was out on maternity leave for part of this year. But you know, I wish that we could have spent more years together. Hopefully, you know, we'll keep in touch, but I just was still able to really enjoy my time working with her and popping into her classrooms. The academy is really going to miss her, and her students are really going to miss her. And I know she's going to miss them. But you know, things come to an end, and I know she'll enjoy her retirement. Yeah, I mean, I would just say to Miss Anson that I think she is an awesome teacher. She's awesome with the students. She's an awesome musician, and just all around great person. In general, she deserves to have a fantastic retirement. And we're all going to miss her so much.
My favorite memory teaching at Chantilly, I can't say I really have one. One in particular, I had a student who was on the spectrum, and I was kind of hard on him. I didn't give him I was just a little hard on him. And I remember he just started to blossom later on in the year, and he would complain to me, and then he just started getting happier and happier, and he just turned into a really personable kid where he wasn't at the beginning of the year. And so one of my prized possessions was this. He made this for me and said that that's how he felt that school year, and that he felt like he came alive because of my class. Computers are wonderful things. Some of the other things, kids getting excited about learning about computers, thinking that they were so hard, and learning that they weren't as hard and that they could actually deal with them. Girls breaking through the barrier. A lot of girls would come into my class thinking they couldn't do this, and then realized they could, and it kind of opened a lot of doors for them. I've gotten a lot of really cool letters from boys and girls, men and women now. I did have an all-girls class. I had a lot of kids getting back to me and telling me what they were doing in the world, and that has been very rewarding. I was awarded Creating Excellence from the Department of Education for an all-girls class that I had. That was really cool, that they acknowledged that that was a good thing for girls to be able to have. In my class, I would bring bread, French bread, bagels, round loaves of bread, sliced bread, and I had 2 toasters there. And so the kids would come in, get their food, get situated, and then we would learn. I'm a person that gets really kind of grumbly when I'm hungry, so I kind of thought this is a win-win. They get breakfast, and I get kids that are calm. So that was very cool. I want to thank Bethesda Natural Food Co-op for all of the bread that they donated to me and my students. I've had kids come back and say that was the only breakfast they had that year, so it was kind of cool. But it was available every class. My oddest memory was Sungwoo Cho, the shooter. He was in my class back in 2001, 2002, I think it was. And I remember when that happened, they called him Cho Sung-wee, and it didn't register with me who he was. And I turned my computer on one morning, and I had AOL News, and up came his face, and I just sat there. And I remember thinking, I bet the teachers that had him had wished they had done more. And now I'm looking in his face, seeing that I was one of those teachers. And I had done everything I could, thank God, or I would have carried some guilt around for the rest of my life. I tried dealing with him on a one-on-one. I had my support person help me with him and contact his school, and so I did okay. I did enough for that, but that was my oddest experience at Chantilly. So my plans for the future, I plan on doing old lady things like fronting my rock and roll band, Wicked Jezebel. Wicked Jezebel. And waking up whenever I want. Shutting off that alarm. That's going to be the best thing. Even if I got up at the same time every day, it'd be fine with me as long as I didn't have to get up to an alarm. I'm looking forward to that. What I'll miss most about Chantilly is the people. I've been there over 21 years and have just grown so close to so many people in a professional way, which is obviously different, but still it's a closeness. And I mean, all the people that were there when I started Gray's retiring this year. Kenny Brown, I think, is next year. Wayne, Lisa, Jen. I mean, there are so many people. The newer people, they've been awesome. Chantilly Academy is just probably the best place in the world I can think to work. I don't know the high school side so much, but I mean, Scott Setter has been one of my two favorite bosses of all time, John Whitman being the other. And the students, I think I'm just going to really miss not having the kids around. So I'll probably have to get on the substitute list for Chantilly Academy. You may see me again. Advice for students and staff. I think my biggest advice would be to be fair, listen, and flex with the situation. And anytime a big thing arises, whether it's something funny that everybody laughs about, don't expect them to cut it off right now and get back. You got to let everything settle down. Like when a bird ruffles its feathers, it takes a minute for them to come down. And I've always treated my classes that way and had a mutual respect with my kids. I just think that fairness and respect is really, really important. What do I look forward to doing the most in retirement? Being home more. Working at Chantilly 5 days a week, and then rocking out with my band on the road most weekends, left little time for home. So getting caught up on some of my yard projects that I've had for a very long time is I've been doing a little more of that since we've been home more this end of this year, but having more time with all of my family, my animals, that'll be the best thing. What I'd like to say to my Chantilly community, especially the Academy, I want to thank Brian Godfrey's shop built me this shed, Ashley and McLenzie for grooming our animals, Kenny Brown and Gray Brill for having great cars come in and I could buy them from time to time. And if I ever needed dental floss or toothpaste, I always had Jen how I could see her, or Lisa if my hair looked bad. I could go down to Lisa and Wayne's and fix my hair. And Shea Clay, oh my God, they've the best food. There are so many. I know I'm going to miss people and I apologize. I want to thank the support staff and Amy and Wendy and Rachel and Julie and Ann, all the people. I mean, please, I'm not forgetting you. I just can't remember your names at this moment. That's why I'm having a Pepsi now. Oh, one last thing. Anson, out.
My goodness, what can you say about George Dewey? Well, he's been here for a while, over 30 years, so he's part of that elite group of teachers here at Chantilly. This wasn't his first job. And in fact, by making it to 2020 this year, and thus checking off the 2020s, I'm pretty sure this makes 7 decades that George has been teaching high school science. I think it's just old-fashioned dedication to the kid. If you walk by his room after school, there's always some kids in there taking more lab data, retaking a quiz, just George helping them out. So I wish you all the best, my friend. Godspeed and good luck.
My fondest memory is actually when I wasn't directly working with him, but I was staying late for astronomy club till like 5:30 or something. And I looked in and I saw Mr. Dewey and they're working with a student, and it was like 5:30. And they were like sitting side by side, their heads were pushed together, and I could tell how much effort Mr. Dewey was putting into helping the student, and I could see how patient he was. I thought it was like truly a testament to his devotion to his students. And as a new teacher, that was really inspiring to me. His positive attitude just never wavered, and I could see that it meant a lot to people who worked around him. Like, I could not be upset around him, so I was always so happy, and I loved how experienced he was. Thank you. You have taught me so much in this 1 year, less than a year I've been working as a teacher. I would not want another teacher to have just down the hallway to look up to and go running to when I needed something.
My time with Mr. Dewey was always something that I would reminisce after later, because he always makes you feel special when you talk to him. And for me, especially when I first came to Chantilly, I came from a very diverse environment. And when I suddenly came to Chantilly, it was very homogeneously white culture. But Mr. Dewey, he was so inclusive. I've never seen a person so inclusive as him. I'm going to miss him very much. And our conversations that really kept me feeling motivated and special in a way. I'm going to miss those conversations. So I'm going to say to Mr. Dewey, have a wonderful retirement and don't think about us. Think about all the things that you always wanted to do and go ahead and do them. Right now is the time.
I admire Mr. Dewey's ability to really get to the crux of what he's teaching. I think that he's always able to distill it down to this is what you have to know, and let's try and get kids to focus on those particular pieces. It's inspiring to see someone who has taught for so very long and really likes kids and really is dedicated to working on what he works on. He is so meticulous with what he does and so careful, and I don't know, he's really just like, you think of all these things after, right? He's really that kind of guy who not only takes care of our kids, but he takes care of our teachers and our custodians, and he knows people by name, and he's always willing to lend a hand for whatever it is you need. Well, George, make sure you turn the light out when you go, please.
George is a smidge bit older than I am. However, that didn't matter when we would have our after-school discussions. We would catch up on so many topics: New England, traveling, my leaky fish tanks, politics, climate change, or science. George and I have had many educational and life chats over the years. He would initiate our holiday gifts to the science custodial staff, and the two of us would always represent the science department for custodial appreciation dinner. 16 years ago, George was one of the science teachers that volunteered to bring me flowers and a baby present from the department when my daughter was born a month early. I had only been teaching at Chantilly for 2 years at the time. Thank you, George. I am grateful for all that you have taught me along the way, not always educationally, but for what is important in this job. You remind me that this job is about the people we serve. I hope you enjoy retirement. You have earned it.
There are three main events that were really important to me, and I think they were important to the school. And in 1998, there was a young man who was wheelchair bound. When it came to graduation, he wheeled his chair up the ramp to the stage in the Patriot Center and proceeded to get out of the chair and walk unsteadily but straight across the stage to get the diploma. And what I'll always remember is the Patriot Center went wild. Everybody, jumping up and throwing their caps in the air. You'd think it was at the moment that the principal declared that they were graduates. They were just so proud of him. That was one of my early memories of the kind of school that Chantilly continues to be, but always has. I'd like to mention two more. In 2007, in April 16th, was when the Virginia Tech, I call it a massacre, it really was, that awful tragedy that happened. And there are three pictures that I hope will show of a tradition of Chantilly has, one of its rich traditions that is no more. We called it the graffiti house. One of the pictures is somebody's hand with layers of paint, which are incredible. And the other photograph is the one where the whole house was painted in honor of Virginia Tech. It was just a real tribute, and it went along with a vigil that the student body as a whole held on the football field where everybody stood. That says a lot about Chantilly. Of course, there were families who had sons and daughters there at the school, and it did come close to home. The final memory for me, it was in 2012, and right in front of our high school, the final flight of the space shuttle called Discovery came by, NASA's huge plane carrying that thing. It made 2 loops around Dulles Airport, so we got to see it twice. Nearly the entire student body left their classes and came out in front of the school to see this amazing thing. That was an event just so incredible and well worth celebrating. Those are 3 of just the tremendous memories that mean a lot to me. It shows both, I think, the spirit of Chantilly, and it certainly shows the way in which we celebrate and we mourn when tragedies happen. It keeps us together. And even in this weird environment right now, with the virus keeping us all home and isolated, you know, the school and the spirit is still there. Music is a very important part of my life, and both performing it, piano was my early instrument, and I had some other instruments when I was in high school, actually. Played the baritone horn and the trumpet for a while, but the piano lasted pretty much through college. And since I've been so busy with teaching, that instrument and also my singing, which I've always enjoyed doing, has taken a kind of back seat. And definitely that's on the, not just the horizon, that is knocking on the door to just have me spend more time there. The other thing I would mention is that just for the fun of it, I took a creative writing class. And I thought, well, I'll just try this. And it kind of took over my life for a while. I've written a monthly column for 12 or 15 years for our state science newsletter. And that kind of creative writing, I plan on definitely doing more of. It's almost a cliche, but it's absolutely true. I'm going to miss all of you in the school. I'm going to miss the faculty members that I would see on a daily basis. And speaking of music and all, I'm reminded of, along these lines, a short little verse that has always meant a lot to me. It comes from an old-timey musical called The King and I. It starts off, there's this little business beforehand, and it says, it's a very ancient saying, but a true and honest thought, that if you become a teacher, by your pupils you will be taught. And that is definitely true with my Chantilly experience, that it's not a one-way street at all. One of my favorite phrases always every year is to mention to my kids and to parents too, that everybody thinks that there's one teacher in the classroom, and I take it as my job to prove that there's really 29 teachers in the classroom. And I mean that very seriously and very literally. I would say to everybody, don't ever let the song go from your life. And sometimes that's very hard to do when tragic things happen. It's maybe easier to do when celebrations happen, but each of us in our own ways, we have our song to sing, and that's an important thing to never forget.